Let's say you're designing a building that's meant to last a century. Awesome. But what about the ground it sits on? You know, the driveway, the plaza, the path leading to the front door? Choosing the right paving material is a decision that can last just as long. It's one of the most critical choices you'll make, and it's going to impact everything: the budget, the vibe, the performance, for decades to come.
So how do we make a choice that actually stands the test of time? Well, here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll get into the core problem, what I call the paving predicament. Then we'll meet the main players in the game. We'll decode the real cost, not just the sticker price, but the cost over a lifetime. We'll put these materials through a durability test, and finally, we'll land on the architect's verdict to help you make the right call on your next project.
So this is what it's all about, the paving predicament. This isn't just about what looks pretty on day one. Nope. It's about how that surface is going to age, how it'll feel in 20 years, and how much of a headache it's going to be for the maintenance budget. If you get this right, you create serious, lasting value. But if you get it wrong, well, you're pretty much paving a road to future problems.
So think about it. As an architect, what are you really specifying here? Is it just a material you picked out of a catalog? Or is it the fundamental character of a place for the next 50 years? That question right there, that's what should guide every single choice we're about to look at. Okay, so at its core, pavement design really boils down to two main philosophies. Think of it like this. Flexible pavement, like asphalt, is kind of like a mattress. It's got all these layers that absorb and spread out the weight. On the other hand, rigid pavement, like concrete, is more like a big, solid oak plank. It just uses its own incredible strength to spread the load. Understanding this difference is absolutely key to knowing how they perform and, maybe more importantly, how they eventually fail.
All right, now that we've got those two basic engineering approaches in our back pocket, let's meet the materials themselves. I've grouped them into a few key families just to make all the options crystal clear.
First up, we've got our poured surfaces, asphalts and concrete. You know, the ones that create those big, smooth, unbroken planes. Then you've got the unit pavers. These are the individual blocks that lock together like an intricate puzzle. And finally, we have the more organic, natural materials, like flagstone and gravel, which really connect a design to the landscape around it.
Now here's a little detail that's going to make you sound like a total pro. We always talk about those charming cobblestone streets, right? Well, 9 times out of 10, what we're actually looking at are Belgian blocks. Real cobblestones are naturally rounded rocks from riverbeds. Belgian blocks are actually quarried from granite and cut into rectangles. It's a subtle distinction, I know, but it has a huge impact on a project's history, look, and feel.
All right, let's get to the question every client asks. What's this going to cost me? But hold on. We're not just going to look at the sticker price. We are going to decode it. We're going to analyze the total cost of ownership over the entire life of the project. And trust me, this is where the real value starts to show itself.
So, starting at the very bottom of the price ladder, we have asphalt. For big commercial jobs, you can get it installed for as little as $2.50 a square foot. It's the cheapest way to get in the game, which, let's be honest, is why we see it absolutely everywhere. But, as we're about to find out, cheap today doesn't always mean cheap tomorrow. And then, way over on the other side of the universe, you've got natural flagstone. This stuff can soar to $50 a square foot, maybe even more. That is a 20-fold difference. It's kind of like choosing between a bicycle and a Ferrari. Yeah, they both get you from point A to point B, but the experience and the cost are from two different planets.
Check out how these costs are tiered. It's pretty clear, right? You've got asphalt and your basic concrete living in the budget category. Then there's a big jump up to pavers, and then another huge leap into the premium world of natural stone and Belgian block. Just understanding these tiers is the first step in helping a client find the right fit for their budget. But this is where the story gets really interesting. The moment we factor in long-term maintenance, the whole picture just flips upside down. Look at asphalt. Cheap to install, sure, but it's a constant maintenance headache. Now look at the bottom of the list, Belgian block and flagstone. Yeah, they're a huge investment up front, but they are practically maintenance-free. Over 50 years, their total cost can actually be surprisingly competitive. That's the long game.
So we've seen what these materials cost. Now let's talk about what you're actually paying for, performance. How do these things hold up under the relentless pressure of traffic, weather, and just plain old time? Let's run the durability test.
This data right here from the Michigan Department of Transportation tells a really powerful story. On average, asphalt needs major work after about 15.5 years. Concrete, it cruises along for almost 28 years. That's nearly double the service life. For any client thinking about the next 30 years, that is an absolute game-changing statistic.
Now let's talk pure brute strength, which we measure in PSI. A standard concrete slab is pretty tough, handling about 4,000 pounds per square inch. But interlocking concrete pavers? Oh man, they are on a whole other level. They're engineered to withstand up to 12,000 PSI. That's the difference between a family sedan and an armored tank. It's why you see pavers at airports and shipping ports, places that handle insane loads without breaking a sweat.
This quote just nails it. But why? Why are they so much stronger? It's all about the system. Those interlocking joints transfer the load from one paver to all of its neighbors, spreading that stress over a huge area. A concrete slab, though, it has to take the entire load all by itself, which makes it way more vulnerable to cracking.
Okay, so if pavers are so great, why the higher price tag to install them? The answer is right here in this process, and most of it is work you'll never even see. Get this, over 70% of a paver project's success is literally buried underground in the base prep. The digging, the compacting, the precise leveling of the sand, that is where the real skill and craftsmanship comes in. It's a lot of labor, for sure, but it's what guarantees that beautiful surface stays flat and stable for decades.
So, we've looked at the engineering, we've crunched the numbers on cost, and we've tested for durability. Now it's time to bring it all home. As the architect, how do you take all this information and make the right call for your project? This is the architect's verdict.
Here's your cheat sheet. If your client's #1 priority is the lowest possible upfront cost, you're looking at asphalt or gravel. Easy. If you need a durable, no-fuss workhorse and you're cool with limited design options, poured concrete is your go-to. Now, if you want that sweet spot, the best of all worlds with design flexibility, strength, and easy repairs, concrete pavers are often the smartest choice. For those projects that demand timeless, historic character, you'll invest in brick or Belgian block. And if the budget is basically unlimited, FLAGSTONE is the ultimate luxury statement.
And you know, at the end of the day, this is why we obsess over these details. It's about getting past the spreadsheets and creating a space that just feels right. The patterns, the textures, the colors you can get with unit pavers can completely transform a simple driveway into the heart of a home, or turn a public plaza into a genuine work of art. That's a level of design expression that a plain old slab of concrete just can't touch. Look, mastering these trade-offs isn't just about making your projects better. It's about becoming a better architect. It's about having the knowledge to confidently walk your clients through one of their biggest financial decisions. And hey, for those of you on the path to getting licensed, this is the absolute core of the PPD and PDD exams, understanding systems, analyzing life cycle costs, and making smart decisions that balance dozens of competing factors.
So, we end right back where we started, with one fundamental choice. Does your project demand the absolute cheapest path today, even if it leads to a future filled with cracks and repairs? Or are you going to invest in the more valuable road tomorrow? A surface that will endure, add incredible character, and stand as a testament to truly thoughtful design. The answer you choose will quite literally pave the way for your project's entire legacy.